Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to discuss the victim, villain, hero triangle we are all playing, and I want to give you a few examples what that looks like based on my personal life, my personal experiences. And again, before we get into the video, I want to highly recommend this book, because that is how I first understood that this was the game I was playing, that we are all either playing the victim, villain or hero in our own story or in somebody else's story. And the only way to break out of it really is to have this awareness first that this is what we're actually doing, that this is the game we are playing. And then once we do have this awareness, we can actually make changes in our lives. And this victim, villain, hero triangle actually came up quite a lot in my client sessions this week. So I thought I would film this video with the intention to help somebody. So let me explain this based on a few examples I feel like a lot of you will resonate with. So let's say you are in a romantic relationship with somebody, but then you decide to break up with that person. Now in this villain, victim, hero triangle, we now have somebody who feels like the victim of this situation, the person who just got broken up with, and then we have a villain, the person who broke up with the other person. Now, what often happens in these scenarios is that the person who got broken up with is trying to emotionally manipulate the person who initiated the breakup to get back together again, even though the other person doesn't want to get back together. But this person plays the victim. They're like, oh, but I feel so sad because of you. Look at what you did to me. You broke up with me. I feel so sad now because of you. That person now feels so bad. It feels emotionally manipulated by that person. Now in that scenario, the victim, the person who got broken up with, now becomes the villain, because they try to manipulate the other person. But the person who initiated the breakup in the first place now plays a different role, the role of the hero. Because the hero wants to fix the situation. That person doesn't want to be the villain. That person wants to be the hero. I need to fix this situation. I need to fix how this person is now feeling because of me. And there we have this classic victim, villain, hero triangle that we just can't get out of, because there's no loophole in it unless you stop playing the game, unless you stop playing a certain role, and you simply remove yourself from it. And I know for a fact I have been in both situations before. I was the person who broke up with somebody else, being the villain, but I also was the person who got broken up with, being the victim turned villain, because I tried to emotionally manipulate the person to get back together with me. And what I learned to understand is, when somebody broke up with me and I felt like the victim of this situation, I felt like that person is the reason why I feel so bad now, that was actually not true. These are my emotions, and I need to deal with my emotions in a healthy way. That person has absolutely nothing to do with it. That person has the right to not want to be in a relationship with me. So yes, I can feel sad and disappointed about the breakup, but that doesn't mean that this person made a valid choice. That is what they want for their life or don't want for their life. That is fair. There's nothing I can do about it. So I am not the victim of this situation. I can simply see the situation for what it is, accept it, and then move forward with my own life. But the reason why after breakup we feel the need to hold on to that person who clearly doesn't want to be with us is because we don't know how to love ourselves. When a partner leaves and they are our source of love, because we don't have any love for ourselves, then what do? We cling on to it. We need to get it back. Because when that person leaves, I don't have any love anymore. And that is where the issue begins. We can't be in a relationship when we don't have any love for ourselves. It just doesn't work like this. How will we ever have a healthy relationship when we don't love ourselves, when we don't know how to give all of that to ourselves? The ideal relationship is when two people realize they are whole and complete on their own, with everything they have. They can give everything to themselves, love, joy, happiness, everything. Then they can come back together. Because eventually, if they decide to go their separate ways again, they're still whole and complete. And that is what I feel like we are getting so wrong about relationships in general. We are all lacking something, and then we put so much pressure to another person. We put them on a pedestal, believing that they have to fix us. They have to bring something into our lives, so we are no longer lacking. But that is not how it works. And that is why relationships these days don't seem to work anymore, because we just don't know how to love ourselves anymore. And that is what we need to find back to. Now, coming back to the victim, villain, hero triangle, let me give you another example based on parents and their children. That is also something I see a lot in my clients, what I experienced in my personal life, the people surrounding me. So I feel like that will resonate with a lot of you as well. So let's say we have a parent, and this parent is dumping all of their emotions onto their child. Maybe talking negatively about the other parent, talking negatively about literally anything, like dumping their emotions onto the child, believing that the child has to fix how the parent is feeling. So in that scenario, we have a parent who feels like the victim of their life, their circumstances. Now we have a child who the parent believes is their hero. The child needs to fix it. The child needs to listen to all their problems and issues. But what the parent doesn't realize is, in that moment, they also become the villain, because they are creating pain and suffering for the child. Because the child might not want to hear anything negative about the other parent. The child doesn't want to be responsible to fix the parent's emotions. The child simply wants to be the child. And that is why it is the parent's responsibility to heal within, so the child doesn't have to heal because of the parent. And that is something I see all the time. And we have, again, the perfect victim, villain, hero triangle, where one person actually plays the victim, villain, and hero all at the same time. Because in this scenario, the child is the victim of the parent dumping their shit onto the child. It is also the hero because it wants to heal the parent. But then once the child actually decides, hey, I don't want to do this, I don't feel good, you're causing me pain and suffering, it also becomes the villain. Because then the parent will be like, wait, why don't you want to listen to my problems anymore? So you see, you can't win. Once you stay in this triangle, you cannot win. So you have to get out of it. And you do this by setting healthy boundaries, by simply removing yourself from the situation where you feel like you're playing a role. You cannot be the hero for anyone. When somebody wants to see you as the villain in their story, let them. And me personally, I refuse to be the victim of any circumstance, of any scenario in my life. No matter how another person treated me in the past, I refuse to see myself as the victim of it. Because when I see myself this way, I can't change. I can't get out of it. I can't heal from it, because I will always play the role of the victim. And that is why now I refuse to play any part in this game. And again, setting these healthy boundaries is so important. Even though it might mean for the other person you become the villain, that is their issue. You need to set healthy boundaries for yourself. You need to be loving and kind to yourself. Again, you can't be the hero. You can't fix other people. You can only be there for yourself. And when another person wants to change, they become their own hero. We can only be our own hero. It is not your responsibility to fix another person, period. You can help, you can guide, but only within your personal boundaries, when it feels good for you and you are not suffering because of it. But we very often see people who take on the role of the hero while they are actually in pain and suffering every single day because of it, because the other person doesn't change. And also, when you continue to play the hero, you don't allow the person to stop being the victim, because the victim always needs a hero. So when you stop playing the hero, the person who plays the victim actually has to heal themselves. Or let's look at the victim-villain relationship. Let's say you are in a toxic relationship. Somebody is like emotionally abusing you. The villain always needs a victim. So once you recognize that this person is treating you unkind, You have to remove yourself from the situation. We have to recognize the role we are playing in these scenarios. And again, we are responsible for our own happiness, for our own love, for our own joy in life. We are responsible for it. Nobody else is responsible for ourselves and for our lives. We have to learn how to be loving and kind to ourselves, and I feel like it starts by recognizing where we are playing these roles in our lives, with our families, our relationships, our friendships, even in work environments. See what role you are playing and then stop playing the role. Remove yourself from it. See it from a different perspective, because once you change, the people around you will change as well. Because suddenly the dynamic changes. Once you start setting healthy boundaries, the other person is going to be like, oh wait, something changed. What do I do now? It doesn't work like it used to work anymore. Or when a parent dumps their stress and emotions onto you and you set healthy boundaries and you say, actually, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Please find somebody else somebody who's going to help you to work through this, but it's not me. Then your dynamic is going to change. But change can only happen when you change. Once you remove yourself from a situation, once you do set healthy boundaries. And I think that's all I have to say for today's video. I really hope you found it helpful. And again, look at your life, look at where you are playing a certain role and how to get out of it, how you can set healthy boundaries for yourself. And I can guarantee you 100% based on my personal experience, once you stop playing the game, once you stop playing a certain role, everything is going to change. And you will get this awareness so quickly once you fall back into it, or when you get into a new situation. And then once the dynamic changes into this victim, villain, hero cycle, you can snap out of it so quickly because you're recognizing what is happening. If you would like to book a one-on-one session with me, I will leave all the details in the description of this video. I'm sending all of you so much love and I will talk to you in my next video.